Hey, everybody. Welcome to the June edition of the Hazmat Guys Roundtable um, podcast show thing, whatever this is now. it's morphed so many times. I'm here with Bob Kosh, and I'm here with Todd Burton, the man, the myth, the legend. How's everybody doing? Good?
Awesome.
Awesome.
Excellent.
That's great. Thank you for coming on, Todd. Really appreciate that.
All right, thanks for having me again.
Again. Jason and Mike are off on assignment, so they were not able to make tonight. But I think we got a pretty good discussion. I think
so.
Sure.
First, I want to thank our sponsors: Responder Training Enterprises. Our good friend Ron Huffman is out there. Intercontinental Training Academy, right? That's South Florida.
Yep. South Florida. Yep.
Awesome dude.
Team Delgado. Yep.
The Todd Burton TB Metal Arts, as you can see behind his shoulder. Look at those things. You can win those in a huge raffle.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh.
And our good friend Northeast Hazmat, always good for a sponsorship and also gives some really good stuff out there. Don't forget Hazmat 101 Consultants and the podcast. So, what are we talking about?
Well, before we jump into it, I got it for my own self thing. I got to say, out with the old, in with the new. Our new hazmat truck for City of Orlando.
She's a peach.
Yeah,
She is a peach. Okay, now I'm done. So, we've got, that we were talking, what was it, a month ago, about that explosion that happened in LA. Crazy, crazy stuff. And we had to reach out to somebody that knows a lot about this stuff. Take it away. Wait, the way we're pointing, I don't know. I'm pointing this way.
Back here somewhere. Yeah, that THC stuff, right? That's what you want to talk about. So that's been going on for a while now. So that explosion was in LA was pretty horrific. That had a lot of force. You keep watching that video and over again. It's like hell's fury coming out that door, man. That was pretty scary.
Well, Bob, you got that up on YouTube. Can we just, so we can all start at the same place, can we bring that video up?
Yep,
and just play this section?
Propane butane, man. That's a gusher.
It's crazy.
All right, here we go. You should see it.
Yep.
I mean, the amount of fire and those guys coming down a ladder. That's just
blowing out of there. It's like dragon's breath.
That's just incredible.
That's just a lot of propane butane tanks. I mean, they had to have a ton of stuff going on in there.
And just pay attention to the white smoke. We're going to hook around on that. Todd had a couple of good points in that scene. You see, Bob, can you go back a little bit just to look at that white smoke a little bit? Right there. Look at the volume and the amount of white smoke. And speaking from the fire perspective, if you see that much white smoke, like, it's never purely white. It's like a little bit dirty, a little bit gray, a little bit yellow, a little bit whatever, brownish. It is really, really rare to see perfectly white smoke, even with good extinguishment going on. So that's and I'm going to give that over to Todd. Todd, what do you think about that white smoke?
Well, we've done some inspections we've done some busts on some of these places that are not permitted like this, and they're probably making those vape vials. So you've seen somebody smoking vape before, right? As they go down the street, they take a big old inhale and they blow out. What comes out? Copious amounts of white smoke. Just like your smoke machine that you have for Halloween. What do you put in that? It's glycerin and propylene glycol. It could just be propylene glycol by itself. It just makes copious amounts of white smoke when it's superheated. And they could have multiple 55 gallons of propylene glycol or glycerin in these facilities to mix with their concentrated THC extract. So they mix them in different proportions so it keeps it nice and fluid so it doesn't gum up the vape pens.
Wow. I don't think anybody misunderstands that this was a dispenser, an illegal dispensary distributor, right? So they had.
Allegedly, I assume it's illegal.
I would assume, like it doesn't look like they were quite prepared. But from being in a big city, we don't know every single building and what they have inside their building. So like, I can't say, well, they should have known their first two area. I don't know my first two area. I don't know what people are doing down the block from me. Like, it's very hard to do that. And when you have multiple, what we would assume multiple drums of propylene glycol, glycerin, and then you have this fireball. Talk a little bit about that, Todd.
Yeah, so this is supposedly like Vape Row, like THC extraction row down in LA is what I heard from some guys who kind of work that area up there. All the shops up and down the street are pretty well known to be, vape sellers, THC distributors. They're all in this type of a business. So, but when you look at this building, it looks like a one-story building, but they must have had a ton of stuff in there. I've never seen a fireball that big on any of the ones that we've had. They've had to have multiple drums or multiple tanks of propane butane going off, which includes, looks like some of those 55-gallon drums of propylene glycol at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah. And from what I understand, again, if anybody has a comment, throw it in there. But from what I understand, they went for initially a small fire in the rear of, which is honestly quite a common thing. Hey, what's going on?
Whoa.
He's connecting his audio up. I hope so. Right now, he looks like the guy that used to be the dancing guy from the Great Adventure commercials.
He's got some kind of hat on. I can't see what it is, but
this is DC. What is? I don't know what it says. I can't read it. Anyway,
it looks like the Beastie Boys. Looks like one of the Beastie Boys.
He does look like Ad Rock.
Jason Rogers in the house, ladies and gentlemen.
You guys are hilarious.
Jason, Todd's on with us. He is, kind of explaining out a couple of things that we were looking at in these pictures, and we were just talking about a little bit of the fire response as far as of this thing. And just so everybody understands, we are not hindsight quarterbacking, 2020, all that jazz. We're just kind of like analyzing this thing. From the fires I've been to, I've seen fire come out of the front of the building like that. Never quite like that, though. That is it is scraping the ground straight out as a fireball. Like that usually comes out and it goes up as it comes out. That's coming straight and then going up. That's
a lot of force. That is a lot of force.
And there was guys talking in the firehouse. They're like, well, what? And again, I hate it, but this is how guys are. They're like, well, why didn't they just jump off I'd rather have a broken leg than get burned on the ladder. But if you look at that video, the fire is to the floor. How do you know that would be better to be on the floor on fire as well?
Yeah, exactly. And and I know Bobby used to be part of a truck company, I think, when you first came on, and obviously I was just a retired lieutenant from one. Being on a roof with the guys, and I can only imagine. I mean, not even a split second. You had less than a split second to make a decision to just get the hell off that roof. I mean, kudos to the captain for recognizing what he did and just telling the guys to get the hell off. I mean, and I'm glad they're all doing better. Thoughts and prayers with all of them.
Yeah, there was rumor that they had a pretty good heat signature inside and just started building super fast, and they just blew the horn to get everybody out. And as soon as they were on their way out, that's when it just started to bellow.
Wow.
So, again, let's break this down on the hazmat side. Forget the fire for right now. If you let's make this as a odor, right? This is to our best knowledge, this is a warehouse that housed the stuff to supply dispensaries. Is that incorrect in any way? I don't think they were processing stuff there, right?
You don't think so, but it sure seems like it with this fire that happened. I'm sure somebody was doing some kind of open blasting or something like that to get this fire to go.
All right. So everybody understands what is open blasting. Explain that process. It's kind of down and dirty, right?
Yeah, so, and if you watch this video on YouTube, you can see some of these smaller cans, like a big tall boy beer, shooting off like rockets out of this big flame, or even in the overhaul. These are those small containers of butane.
Look like Krylon spray cans, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And they got a little, nipple in the center. And basically, take some weed, stick it into a tube. It's usually a glass tube, maybe 18 to 24 inches long. You stack all your weed in there. Then you depress the butane in one side, and it comes through all the weed and it dissolves all the THC, or the trichomes where the THC is located. And that comes into a dish, and then the butane kind of evaporates immediately right there, and it's going to be in your immediate space. And you can see some videos on the internet where these guys are doing this in the back of the room, and it hits the ignition source and it backflashes. So I have a feeling that somebody was doing something like that. I even asked some of the guys maybe if they were refilling large propane cylinders, and that didn't seem to be the case. But only the investigation is going to be able to tell us what really happened as far as what's going on from there.
I will say I've seen around us, we've seen propane cylinders repurposed to hold large-scale butane. So what they'll do is they will empty the propane out of the cylinder. The cylinder is perfectly good, and they'll, instead of having 2 billion of these little tubes, these Krylon spray paint containers, they just bulk load it into a propane tank. And what we do is we flare that off, and when we flare it off, it is a distinctly different color, sound, visual. It's basically clear. Propane burns like your gas grill. Butane grows. It's totally different. So,
Todd, are you left when you do that process? Is that what you're left with? Is what they call the hash oil?
Yeah. So you're pretty much left with hash oil, and in that process, you're still left with like pigments from the plant and fats from the plant and sugars, and you can further refine it in a process called winterization. But yeah, that's pretty much what you're going to get is that crude extract, is what they call it.
All right, so let's take this. Let's put the fire away. Let's talk about this from the hazmat response perspective. Let's say you have an odd odor in this place. You're coming in as a technician unit. What are your meters? What kind of meter selection you're bringing? Jason, give me a meter that you would bring and why?
Well, I mean, instantly you're going to look at a 4-gas or a PID, I think, and you're looking for the LEL and any oxygen displacement. I mean, immediately. I would think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think that your LEL is going to be just off the charts when you get close.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, I would definitely be coming in with a 4-gas low, working my way in nice and slow. And then, looking for that O2 displacement, because not only could they be doing butane propane extraction, they could be doing it has a lot of alcohols that are in use, or they could also be doing CO2 extraction. So there's a couple things. It's either going to be your butane propane LEL stuff with your alcohols, or it's going to be your O2 dropping due to CO2 displacing oxygen.
And another thing, you said the 4-gas plus the PID. I would absolutely subscribe to that. I would do that as well. The PID section, I just looked this up, is the IP. I'm sorry, the IP, ionization potential. The IP of it is 11.2, and the standard, everybody knows that the standard bulb is 10.6. So you wouldn't find it on the PID, but you would find it on the LEL. You might even find it as an oxygen excluder, but that means you have tons of it out there, right?
That's
so
a lot.
Wow. Any other meters, Bob, or anything?
That's I mean, the only other thing I would bring some of the things we always brought with us was a tick. In case we did have an LEL, we would use that as a guide to see if we had any hot sources somewhere else. But something that Todd mentioned that kind of struck me was between the different types of methods, that, especially if it's a new technician, he's going to be looking at a meter going, what in the hell is going on with this thing?
Right.
And to understand that there's these different methods, I mean, that's crucial.
So you could just walk into a winterization lab, and it could be multiple rotovaps. I don't know if everybody knows what a rotovap is, but they're basically these small apparatus that kind of look like a moonshine still. It pulls vacuum on a round bottom flask with your crude oil mixed with ethanol, and it's under vacuum, and they gently heat that, and they're trying to get the ethanol off of that. It condenses in another round bottom flask. And these things are rotating and making noise, and you got black liquids and you got clear liquids. They're like, what the hell is going on here? That was like one of the first ones we walked into. We didn't know what was happening.
Jay, you had something?
No, that's I've never even heard what Todd was talking about. I was just going to say that not knowing. I mean, I think the unknown is what you're going to an odor call. That's just going to be the garden variety meter. But I think something to be, I guess, at least discussed is, are you backing your meters up for false positives? I mean, if you've got one that's going absolutely apeshit crazy, what are you doing? You got a second one? Are you know what I mean? That you're looking for that confirmation, or at least the second clue.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like to use 4-gas meters that start in ppm scale and parts per million, so we can catch it at the earliest moment before it hits the LAL. But we'll also bring a PID meter with us. And we're covering that blind eye that the CGI can't see.
Right, and even like, I would even if you have the luxury. There was a good question here. Any cross sensitivities to consider? I'm sure there are, but the problem is like flammables are flammables. Like I don't know if it's butane, propane, isobutylene. I don't know what it is. It just says flammable. So like being able to break it into those things where it says it's flammable, but no, it's not on the PID. I'm starting to cleave that area away. You would maybe even consider. I don't know how many departments have it. The AP4C, right? It has that CH channel on top, which will tell you yes, it has an organic component to it. Not everything that's organic is flammable. So like again, all these different technologies, like going in with an infrared type sensor as opposed to electrochemical, a metal oxide, a cat bead. All these things are telling you different spectrums of that thing, and they're all giving you clues. It comes down to you, the detective, to kind of start putting this. Here we go. We got something real. But
and Todd, you said this is a row. This particular area is known for all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, this is like what I was told is kind of like Cannabis Row in LA.
Okay.
All these businesses with dispensaries.
Cool, dude.
You guys want me to run up there and grab something for you?
Yeah. Good thing. This is from the lovely Dr. Baxter. Butane will be cross-sensitive to CO meters, at least for the Ray meter, at least at 1%. That's interesting. Butane will be cross-sensitive to the CO meter. So that'd be something handy to just kind of write down either on the meter or not, because, I mean, if this is these things are popping up everywhere. I mean, am I wrong? I mean, are you guys starting to see them in your areas?
We really haven't seen too much here in Florida.
No, we haven't seen a lot in the Midwest. We're actually getting away from fentanyl and going back to methamphetamine.
Oh, good.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
So, I mean, that's right. That's
so you got that going for you.
So we got that going for you. You know what I got going for me, Bobby, is I'm coming down south.
Bro, I told you that white stuff you're gonna see, it ain't snow.
Thank God.
That's beach, baby.
And even some, like, if we turn this response consideration, I think the big takeaway for me, as far as if it's a leak and not a hazmat, and Todd says this over and over, and if you haven't registered this in your head, is that you need to have your sensor, the point where it picks up the point source detection, on the floor. You should look like a blind guy ticking back and forth with your wand. Like, you should be feeling the floor physically. Right, Todd? You did a whole study.
Absolutely. But don't create your 4-gas into a vacuum. And suck up the dirt.
Yeah, just a vacuum in the place like it's a Dyson, right?
Yeah.
But that's a good point, because a lot of people, when they walk in with their 4-gas meter, they they'll put it down at about between their waist and their knee.
Yeah, belt level.
Walking through, right? Belt level. And they're walking
that belt
through.
Level's like, it's low here. Yeah.
What's going to get you is going to be down at your ankle level. You really got to start, at least 30 seconds down low first before you move a little forward.
That's the most dangerous thing. We do what's called zone training out here with all the different fire departments in our jurisdictions. And we train them to put it down low. We show them the videos. We talk about the LELs. We're like, well, why is it exploding at 3%, at my knee? And, the ChemFizz properties, this stuff just pancakes. I can't say it enough. For your average truck company who has these meters, that they got to keep it on the ground. not even exceeding at 10%, which gives you all those conversion factor, safety margins. You get your conversion factor maybe 2 or 2.5 or 3, where you're getting up near that 100%. That I'm saying like 3%. You need 3 to 5%. You got to pull out and ventilate.
Right.
Yeah, you're in the sweet spot for ignition.
Yeah, and it could be way heavier just further from it.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, even with this, if we turn this back into the fire that we see here on the screen, even so, it seems like there was multiple small containers. It didn't act like it was large 55-gallon drums of butane. It didn't act like, drums are the wrong term. Don't hold me to that one. But what I'm saying is large vessels of butane. It seems like there was multiple little ones, and they almost cascaded and released at one time.
I think you have both, Bobby. I think you can see all the small ones firing off, but these are big tanks. So
really?
Unless this was really full, I mean, that is a lot of fuel coming out of there. Those small ones, I mean, they just kind of pop off and whiz. They shoot out like fireworks half the time.
Okay.
These were large tanks that gave up the ghost.
Todd, do you think like 100-gallon?
Let's see. I don't know how tall are those 5-foot ones, or how many gallons.
Yeah, I think those are you're 75 to 100.
Yeah, the
usually
big boys. That's what you typically see. They're about shoulder high, and they'll
like
have 20 of these things in the area.
Wow.
Like similar to what a food truck uses.
Bigger.
Bigger. Okay.
Jesus, are you serious? Wow.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, literally up to your shoulder. They're huge. And we've had them actually in apartments where guys have dragged these up the stairs. We've got 2 of these
Oh my God.
an apartment upstairs where they use them to refill their reservoirs in the closed loop systems. And you just never know what you're going to run into, man. And it's the wild, wild west right now with THC stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're going to see a lot more of this stuff going on. It burned freaking hot, man. You can see, luckily I saw a couple pictures of those guys. They were recovering in the hospital. They were bandaged up, but they looked to be in good spirits. I wish them the well. Food trucks use 100 pounds correct. This would be closer to 500 pounds. That's from Dr. Baxter. And yeah, I think the food trucks use like 100 pounders.
Yeah.
About size probably.
So yeah, I can see up to 100, 500 pounders. I mean, going. They must have had not blevies. I don't think this would be a blevy. I think this is probably more of like a heat-induced tear, where it's like a rapid deflagration of it. Because I didn't see any evidence of I don't want to say the wrong word, but detonation, like rapid vessel loss with a blevy, explosion. It looks like it just was like, wow. What's that?
Yeah, it has an opening. It has an exit. It's such a hot, fast-moving wave of heat.
Yeah.
What was the building construction?
I looked it up quickly beforehand, and on Google Streets you can do that, and I recommend anybody to do that. Go and look up the address of that thing. I don't remember what the address was, but it looked like just a wood and what we call in New York a taxpayer, which is a brick and wood roof, the old style way. So it was a brick and wood basically. So it's an old school, probably built in the 20s or 30s building. So it has combustibles in it, as far as structurally. But man, that's crazy. And you can look behind the other building, and it's just ripping out the other side as well. Like it's just going stem to stern. It's really ripping on that thing. Holy crap! Tons. So
I would highly encourage all of you guys who do fire inspections, or you get a chance to go look in your first new area, find these places and do a walkthrough. Your eyes will just be boogered out, man. Especially some of these highly sophisticated places where just trying to understand what's going, some of the technology and the distillation of how they're separating the flavors or the terpenes from the plant matters, and they have cold traps. I mean, it looks like a very high-tech meth lab.
Yeah,
Wow.
but you would think they would have shipping in and out, right? I mean, they would have like trucks coming in and out. I mean, like this is not. They're processing. They're processing a lot, but if
Well,
they're
they gotta have a lot
distributing,
of weed, that's for sure. Yeah. I mean, if you ever watch some YouTube videos this week where they were processing 10,000 pounds of weed a day.
Holy shit.
It's an industrial size. They have this thing segmented where you could do the entire process from start to finish. It was modular. They would snap all these different stainless steel pieces together.
yeah,
And it was huge. It was probably like 75 yards long and a good 30, 40 yards wide. It's industrial scale.
Wow. That blows my mind. That just blows my mind.
Oh, all right. Let's see. Anything else in there before we wrap this thing up? I think we covered everything we had here. So, I think we just finished another episode. Another month is in the books. Nice job.
Oh, speaking of, we got to remind everybody this
Yes.
is a first Tuesday of every month, right?
Yes.
So first Tuesday of every month. So it's not going to be a see you next Tuesday.
No. See you the first Tuesday.
See you the first Tuesday of every month.
Yep, absolutely. But before we go, I want to shamelessly plug both Bob Kosh and Todd Burton, especially what we talked about specifically tonight. Todd has on the Hazmat Guys University website, he does this whole thing. It's just weird timing. So if you want to learn more about winterizing and that kind of jazz, by all means, go and listen to the master do it. Bob Kosh has a couple of really great courses, much more coming from everybody. Jason, when he figures out where he lives, he's going to start putting stuff up.
You can't not dress like that down here. You will get beat up. I'm just telling you.
I listen. I have nothing. It is all in boxes. I drove there and back yesterday.
Wow.
So give me a couple of weeks. I'll be back online.
So that's it. Jay, you got anything to add in at the end?
I don't. I just thanks for let me jump in here at the end, and want to thank our sponsors. And if I had a computer, I'd tell you who they were.
Well, we told it in the beginning, so we thank them. Just understand that we're in our advertising guys in transition, but thank you very much to Todd for coming on and saving this sorry show.
I don't know if I can do that. It's still going down flames.
We're building the plane as we fly it, Todd. Please come on, you help us out a little bit. All right, guys. Thanks you so much. We'll see you guys